Optimal health for high performers. This is the Health Upgrade Podcast with Dr. Nawaz Habib.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Health Upgrade Podcast. This is Dr. Habib. I'm here with JP. How are you, sir?
Doing great, thanks.
Wonderful. And we've got a great guest today, Dr. Marcos de Andrade. How are you, sir?
Good. Thank you for having me.
We are excited to discuss Biohax, which is your clinic in Miami, and Discovery's kind of the journey that you've been on to help bring biohacking and optimal health to high performers, a lot of the people that you work with. Really excited to dig into this with you. But before we do, I would love to hear a little bit about your background. You grew up in a unique place in one of the blue zones, which is really cool. And I feel like you've taken a lot of what you learned there and brought it into how you practice medicine. I'd love for you to share a little bit about your story.
That's actually cool. I didn't remember that you knew the blue zone fact. Okay, so cool. Because I usually bring that up later in the story. So again, thank you both Dr. Habib and JP for having me here today. It's such an honor to be here with you guys and to learn from you guys. Learn some really cool stuff with you. Yeah. So my background: dad's from Portugal, mom's from Brazil. Which Brazil is a big functional medicine country. They love functional medicine. I didn't know that. I found that out later in life. And then grew up actually in Newark, New Jersey. But I grew up Seventh-day Adventist, which is the U.S. Blue Zone. Seventh-day Adventists are found in Loma Linda, California, which is really cool. You know, it's a Christian, regular Christian denomination, very similar to Baptist, etc. Except we follow, for some reason, my parents became Adventist when I was like 6 or 7. So things are like, hey, take your kids out it's always like, take your kids out to the park, go to the beach. And even I'm about to be 41 years old. So even at that, we didn't have iPads and kids were not carrying around their iPhones, watching, whatever, Curious George, whatever it is. But it was still like, we'll spend time in nature. And, just like they inculcate you like water, no processed foods. They don't eat pork. So no scavengers. So basically the idea is no scavengers, no animals that clean the earth. That's kind of the idea, no scavengers. And it's really basic health principles. Like really, they have like these 9 tenets of health, but they're just very much like, especially on the no processed foods, spending time with each other. They really talk about, spend time at the dinner table and have times to eat with your family. It's just like an extra push that they do. And it's really cool because I got to grow up around centenarians. And I remember them, and I still know a few. There's less and less of them, unfortunately. Actually, to the church I go to till this day, the gardener, he's like 98. And I swear, if I had to box him, I don't know. He moves really, like you see him like after he's like fixing the garden and everything. So we see it's like, wow, he moves so fast. And that's so cool because to me, that was normal to see really, really old people age well. But then I see regular medicine. I go to traditional medical school and so forth and so forth. And I start working in hospitals. I'm like, whoa, hold on. These people are really, really sick at a young age. And, and led me to where I am today. And, but yeah, it's a long story. I could give you a little bit about my technical background in schooling health. But that was, that's what led me a passion. It was ingrained in me in childhood, like real principles of health.
So a traditional medical school experience that you had leads most people to a traditional practice of medicine. So how did you sort of take that right turn? I'm not even call it a left turn. How did you take that right turn into functional medicine and looking at the world from the lens that most Western MDs, DOs even, don't do, which is to look at root causes and try to deal with people who are healthy and maintain their health, as opposed to waiting until some horrible thing happens and then all of a sudden you have to work uphill to fix it. So, was it your background that just made you feel like, hey, I want to catch this earlier?
No, actually, interesting enough. So I, as a youth in my adolescent years, I jumped around a lot. I went to live in Portugal. My dad's country, its business took us out there, etc. Came back, went to undergraduate here in Florida, FAU, and didn't have the best scores to get into med school first shot. So I was like, well, either do a master's or like a lot of docs do, they do a master's, increase their scores, or go overseas to one of those IMG programs, the Caribbean, etc. So I found a U.S. program in Europe, in Poland, actually, where like Schindler's List takes place, the right next to Auschwitz, which was really cool. I went there for 2 years and a half. And then I did my rotations here because it's a hybrid program. It was cool because I actually was able to get licensed in there too. So, and then after med school, I went to Cleveland Clinic. And that's where things really start. Oh, actually, no. Right. Second year med school. I love the first 2 years of med school. Basics to nights. You're like physiology, biochemistry, microbiology, whatever. Super, super, super cool. I remember I crushed it. I did super well. I remember even thinking, I'm like, wow, if I enjoyed school this much and studied this much before, I would have been like in Harvard, because I actually enjoyed school. Pre-med, I didn't enjoy too much. I was working a lot. But long story short, now you go from second to third year med school, you go into pharmacology. And then pharmacology starts telling you cholesterol is a problem. Da, da, da. I'm like, wait, didn't we just learn that cholesterol makes all the... No, but I was so confused. I vividly remember being confused. I'm like, didn't we just... cholesterol does all this stuff, but then... And I wouldn't get a clear explanation. And I remember the pharmacology professor got really upset. But I did super well in pharmacology. I did very well. Then, you start getting into like pathology and stuff. And it's like things start not making too much sense. But it wasn't enough to really drive me into thinking differently. Then I go to Cleveland Clinic to do a research year because I wanted to be a trauma surgeon. I still think it's one of the coolest professions. God bless them. But I talk too much to be in an OR stuff all day. I would drive everybody crazy. I mean, it's like those guys are actually very quiet, very centered. I'm like, no, it's not. But anyways, so I go to Cleveland Clinic for a year, and I was lucky enough to work under a really, really amazing surgeon who was the director of the Metabolic Institute. And I got to go to some amazing meetings with him, interact with directors of other big hospitals and so forth. And I'm like, man, these guys are very unhealthy themselves. I remember this one time where we're in this meeting. I mean, the guy that, invented the gastric sleeve was the director of I don't remember the hospital, but like a lot of big name hospitals. It was a meeting of the Metabolic Institute thing. I'm watching what they're eating and I'm like looking at what they look like and so forth. And I'm like, and then, yes, my childhood stuff started to, I'm like, wait, this is different. And then very chemistry based, et cetera. And then I proposed to do research on fasting and I got in trouble. So I was like, okay. Because I was doing research. That's all I was doing the whole year.
Why did you get in trouble for wanting to study fasting? I mean, yeah. Why would that be a problem?
The guy pulls me aside and he's like, listen, we don't do research on fasting. We do research on drugs and surgeries. You understand? Literally, that's what he tells me. I promise you. And he gives me, okay, if you want more of when he pulled me aside, he gave me this crazy explanation. Till this day, I don't understand. He's like, are you kidding me? He's like, you want the world to stop eating a meal? He's like, you'll crash the stock market. He's like, if the whole world skips a meal, we'll crash the stock market. And I was like, at the time, I didn't really understand it. I'm like, wow, he really knows this math there.
It's really interesting you say that because I have a colleague and great mentor who states very clearly that the number one thing that would crush the entire economy is if everybody became healthy. If we all got healthy, the economy would completely collapse. And I just thought that was such a unique take and it clicked very much with what you were saying just there.
Wow. Well, yeah, there's like some nefarious math. These guys understand some nefarious economics. Well, but then what really pushed me over, JP, was I started to feel like I so burned out. I was one of those med students, just like go, nonstop. And then I've never drank alcohol in my whole life. I've never used drugs or whatever, but I did went to a doctor, said, I'm getting really tired, med school. I did an MBA program at the same time. I did some other stuff. I was president of the American Medical Student Association. I was president of student government. I did an MBA. I was in medical school. I was like trying to be an overachiever and I burned out. But before I burned out, I went and I spoke to the doc. He's like, oh, you need some Adderall. I'm like, oh yeah, I heard this is pretty good, right? Remember, I'm not who I am today. So I used it for a year and that was just the worst. Then I crashed even more. So that's when it's like, I actually quit. I failed. I passed my first board exam, first shot. But then my second board, I failed that. And that was like, and they gave me an interview, not for surgery. They gave me an interview for anesthesia. But then I failed the board. And then, failing the board, feeling like crap, And I'm like, and I started to gain weight, which I was always very athletic. Started even sex drive started to drop. I don't know. I felt completely crazy. So that's when I went home one day and I told my parents, I'm like, I'm done with this. I want to do, medicine. And I wasn't liking what I was seeing in the hospitals. I was just like, I thought medicine was, I didn't know about us, this world. I didn't know about, I'm like, what is this? I'm like, I was just super confused until my mom sends me a video of a functional medicine doc. And I'm like, Mom, what is this stuff? This guy's speaking a bunch of gibberish. And it just changed my life. That video changed my life. That doc is my friend today. And, we started on the path that eventually I went back, I passed my boards. I still have 1 year of residency to finish to fully get my license, and I'm contemplating doing it now, 10 years later. But yeah, here we are today. I'm an MD, but I've been a non-clinical.
So I'd love to hear what kind of drove you to start Biohax and create a space where high performers can use and create real health from inside and build resilience to the stressors that they're under. Because it sounds like very much like you were a high performer through med school and with the intent of going towards a surgical residency and full on surgery as your life. And just there wasn't alignment. You found that there was a complete misalignment, but you were a high performer. So what drove you to create Biohacks?
Right. So, I created Biohax because I was patient 01. Literally, I'm like, I don't feel right. My mom sends me that video. I'm like, you know what? I was finishing my MBA. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to be a business guy. And I didn't know what, because I only have one passion, not coding. I was in computer engineering before this whole medicine thing too. I'm like, coding sucks. It's too hard. That's smart. Coding's really. I'm like, I had that whole different thing, hearing all this stuff. I'm like, you know what? I only like medicine. The only thing that I really liked was medicine. I'm like, So being lost for a minute in my career and then feeling like technical crap, I ended up going to Brazil, and I meet this older gentleman, this functional medicine doc, like maybe 60-year-old. The guy first great shape, just I go to his practice and wow, and then he looks at I do all these tests that I had never seen. And then he makes me go through all this testing. And he sits down with me. He's like, "You're a rat." Really? He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "This is all reversible." And, I'm thinking medications and so forth. And he starts just prescribing me. Like, I'll never forget this. He takes out this pad and he just starts prescribing me. He even put me on bioidentical cortisol. That's how wreck I was. Like my adrenal glands, he's like, "You need some bioidentical cortisol." I'm like, "You want to take cortisol, man? Are you crazy?" But he's like, "Those bioidentical," and he put like lungo extract, all these things. He starts writing it. Like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm making a powder for you. I'm going to compound this stuff." He's like, "You need some bioidentical hormones. You need testosterone." I was like, "Testosterone? No." I'm like, "Dad, no, I can't take that. That's terrible." He's like, "No. He's like, "You have no testosterone. Your adrenals are shot." I was just like, "Right." And he's like, "And you have some toxin." I'm like, "Is this guy saying like a bunch of stuff to me, or what is this?" So, but I remember this clearly. I had just dropped out of being a researcher at Cleveland Clinic. I'm like, "I'm a researcher at Cleveland Clinic, man. I never heard of this stuff." And he's like, "Kid, there's a lot of stuff." And he called me kid. Specific, like a little nudge. He didn't call me doc. He said kid, which I understood where he was coming from and I appreciate it. He's like, "There's a lot they didn't teach you in school." And he's like, "And you're going to start learning through your own thing." And then, this guy brought me back online in 6 months. I was like, wow, I feel phenomenal. So then, obviously, in the process of him bringing me back online, I started studying this stuff too. And it was my renaissance. It was like I fell in love. So I always say I fell in love with medicine again. So in that process, I, partnered with a doc, hired some nurses, et cetera. And I was like, I got to start helping people. Like my thing wasn't even like, I need to build a business. I was like, oh man, there's more people out there. And, I just started talking to entrepreneurs, and it was all the high performer guys. Like I felt like that, especially at that time, I became a magnet of burned out people like that were, like, "I understand you. I can help you." Right. And then we started building these protocols. But that's when I realized the second problem. I'm like, I didn't learn any of this. So I had to start to study a lot, reach out to the best guys in their field, like such as both of you, to learn from them. And I still keep that practice today. I always ask myself, I learned this from Tony Robbins. Who's the best guy at that? Okay, go be friends with it. Go learn off of that person. I still do that till this day. And, Biohax today is a conglomeration of different life experiences and scientists that have been so kind to grace us with their knowledge.
That's great. And so when you take on a new client, and you've sort of shared with us some of the names that you won't necessarily put online, but there, some pretty famous people have you're working with them. What is it that you try to focus on for a high performing, young, athletic person who is just trying to be at the top of his game? Maybe not at the level of burnout that you were at, but just doesn't want to even approach that. So, what's a typical protocol look like?
First of all, we're big on data. So I don't know many companies, or to tell you the truth, any company that does a screening so large as we do. I'm not saying we're the number one, but haven't seen screenings out there that are as big as we do. And to tell you the truth, it's just such a big picture once this screening comes back, right? And sometimes it tells them a story that they don't even know, right? Certain things are happening and so forth. And that's where we really create a connection with the doctors here and nurse practitioners. Have an amazing team here, amazing. And there's nurse practitioners. The one that's been working with me the least amount of time is 6 years. So, I mean, since almost, it's a strong team that got together since the beginning. Even our clinical director, I know her since she's 3 years old from church as well, so it's a strong, very strong team. And that's also something, because privacy is huge for us here, as it should be in any healthcare practice, but, a little bit extra here as well. But something that's big for us is data. So it's very unique on each and every one of them. But one thing I could tell you, a lot of people, that all these guys, they have this common pattern that they're very hungry. It was like they want to keep changing more stuff. Sometimes I'll get the call from the manager, like, hey, this guy went off the deep end, like burned out, went into some bad habits or whatever. We need to rescue the guy. Or sometimes, I'll get another manager call me, kind of Rocky Balboa 3, where the guy kind of like forgets everything, he's like, well, it's like, okay, he needs a second wind. We just did a big case of a second wind guy. I won't even mention the sport because it's a really, really big name. But, it was super cool to see these guys come back. But then when you see their blood work, when you see their environmental toxins, when you see their gut, when you see their neurotransmitter imbalances, when you see their hormones, when you see all this stuff, it tells a story that they don't know. So the big focus is really to look at the different areas of their life, like as a therapist. To tell you the truth, it starts off as a therapist. Like, all right, you have family. How much time do you spend with your family? How much time do you spend at your craft? How much time do you, because they're all business people. How much time do you spend with business? And sometimes it starts off with like, dude, you're not managing your time. Like, I really compartmentalize. I talk about time management a lot. And when you're getting hit in a million directions, and I have conversation with the room's full with the managers and and the 3 assistants. And, so the focus is the different areas of their life and the biology that requires them to really hit all the areas they want the vision for. And once we get that data, then we really start adjusting. And then the protocol consists of a bunch of compounded stuff. Like our program's heavy duty. It's really not for everybody. Very, very few of our clients will take in less than 50 days a day. Some people think it's total overkill. I just capsules. I take close to 100, sometimes 110, 95. And I feel I wouldn't change it I feel 90. I'm about to be 41. I feel like I'm 25. I feel great. So yeah, our protocols are heavy. Right.
So they're heavy on supplements and vitamins and other medications that may or may not be prescription. But what is the common theme that you're seeing, if any, across the high achieving population? I mean, is it low T? Is it, is it cardiovascular issues? Is it sleep disturbances? Is it what are you seeing that is, if you had to sort of boil it down to, and I know you don't do that, but if you boiled it down to, hey, these are the 2 or 3 things that we typically see are dysregulated. Because we always talk about on the podcast, the 4 pillars that sort of hold everything up are your immune system function, your cellular metabolism, so your mitochondrial function, your autonomic nervous system, and your microbiome. And so when you look at those things, which one of those do you see most often, or is there something else that you see that's dysregulated in these people, and that's why they're having a difficult time maintaining the level of performance that they once had?
Yeah. So if I had to really do one general screen for make believe, I could do averages of everybody we've seen. All of them unequivocally have under par hormones. All. So no questions asked. For example, I've never seen a football player with testosterone over 500. I've never seen it. I saw one guy.
Boy, that's the last thing in the world the NFL's, player association would want to advertise, is that, yes, we're the NFL, we're the symbol of masculine athletic violence out there, and we're all under 500.
I don't know.
That's
bad ones. I don't know what it is.
I mean, I'm a 57-year-old male, and I just had my blood work done, and I'm substantially over 500.
But that's great. And then obviously you take care of your. But you're talking about these guys. First of all, we're talking about a different generation, right? We're talking about 25-year-olds, 26. I did see one time I got a guy that was 900, and he was a veteran. He was like early to mid 30s, and he was 900. And I had one interaction with him, and I wasn't too trustful. So because that's another problem. Like obviously we do clean performance and enhancement stuff here. So mitochondrial work, gut work. That's always why I say fix sleep, fix mitochondria, fix gut, fix neurotransmitters, you fix the guy, then all of a sudden the hormones start to adjust themselves, right? But these guys come in, the NFL does it. I mean, most of these big sports, they do a terrible job at taking care of their athletes. NFL does a terrible job. That's why it's called NFL, not for long, right? The average is 3. So, but one of the things is these guys come in with very, very low hormones, feeling tired. You obviously can't touch it, but what you need to do, which is like nitty gritty work, you need to go and fix little by little. So it starts there with the hormones being low. And then you go check, especially these younger generations, they are full of environmental toxins. And what happens? A lot of these guys, just like myself, I grew up in the inner city. I for many years. They'll come in with the best resources, didn't eat the best foods growing up. I do think, especially excessive amount of vaccination, I'm very, very excessive. Just poor backgrounds, but they are genetically gifted up the wazoo. And then they go and push themselves and get into a regimented life they've never had. And then they do well for a bit because, while that fame and fortune and all that's, fueling them, but then it starts to hit them. Their biology versus also like maybe getting a little unmotivated or whatever, or it's just very rigorous. That's when all of a sudden I start to see these little patterns of these guys coming in. So then you see these toxins, which you do these environmental toxins tests. A lot of them have. Some of them will have pathogens too, which people don't talk too much about pathogens, but we have these superbugs, right? Molds and so forth. And ultimately downstream is impacting the things that they want, which I always talk about with athletes and high performers, neurotransmitter imbalances, and then hormones. But when those are off, they're going to feel terrible. Today I'm talking a lot about football for some reason, but whatever, different field areas. But like I remember, I many times I talked about football players. I'm like, hey man, when you see that opening in the green, I tried to talk about language, like you see that, you see that little crack between those humans, so you could probably take the ball, whatever. I'm like, that little drive, that's dopamine, man. That's like that. And if you lose that, if you don't want to train in the morning, and if you're ending your life and so forth, it's like, it's these common parameters are, I'll tell you, micronutrient deficiencies, hormones, neurotransmitters, environmental toxins. But environmental toxins, I feel, is like what's really causing the downstream effect of everything.
That's really interesting, and particularly in the younger population, right? And in these younger athletes. And I'm sure it's progressed because the use of these environmental toxins, pesticides, herbicides, all these things has picked up so significantly. Is there a specific test that you're doing, and are there specific markers that you tend to see significantly higher with these environmental toxins?
Yeah. So I particularly like, I love Cyrex auditory, CYREX.
I love the Voidanis.
Oh yeah, I know them. Yeah,
wonderful. Yeah. The Voidanis are wonderful people.
Yeah, we're here. He just he sent me his last book with a letter.
I love it. Aristo's wonderful. What a great guy.
Oh, I didn't know you know. Yeah, he sent me a letter. This book's great too. Autoimmune. So they're great. Really like vibrant labs as well. And you see a lot of herbicides, pesticides in these guys. Volatile organic compound. You'll see that stuff too. Phthalates. I mean, and then, yeah, JP, you touched on cardiovascular. If I see cardiovascular stuff, yeah, I mean, I always talk about the recipe for cooking up plaque or atherosclerosis. It's not cholesterol. Like, just like 80% of your cholesterol is made by your body. Sure, you don't want oxidation of, oxed LDLs and so forth. But LDLs, God didn't put something in your body and be like, oh, I made a perfect human, but I'm going to put something here that's going to.
We do not all suffer from a statin deficiency.
No. I love it.
No, and I don't think people. I'm passionate about this subject. If you go and you look, and they just published a 12 million subject patient study, okay, out of Korea, and what they found was that if you have a cholesterol level of 300, you have an all-cause mortality level, okay, an all-cause mortality risk that is lower than if you have a cholesterol level of 160. It's a U-shaped curve, okay? Because what you want to do, if you want to live, you want to have your all-cause mortality be minimized. You want to be at the point where you have the lowest risk of all causes of death. And where you find that sweet spot, where you're at the bottom of the U-shaped curve, do you want to know what that number is? It's 240. your cholesterol level is 240, then you have the lowest all-cause risk of death. Not below 200. No, you're at a higher risk at below 200 than you are if you got a cholesterol level of 290. So what they're trying to do is they're moving that number down to capture more and more and more people that because of some number on a piece of paper tells you got to take a medication.
I think that's one of the biggest lies ever in medicine.
Yeah. Well, it's a $20 billion a year. It's $1 trillion that they've made selling statins to people. And if you look at people who are on statins and you say, okay, what's the risk that I'm going to avoid a major cardiovascular event? How many people do I have to put on a statin in order to get one of those events to stop happening? And it's like 400 people, okay? The NNT, the number needed to treat is like 400. And then you look and you say, well, okay, but I got to shrink my plaque. I got to shrink the plaque size because that's blocking my cardiovascular system. The answer is after 5 years of the highest dosing that you can get of Lipitor or rosuvastatin, the highest dosing, the change in the blockage level, the change in the plaque volume in your body, 1%, a 1% change. It's not doing anything.
It's not. And then, they don't look at the number needed to treat or absolute risk reduction. It's that relative risk reduction, right? So it's like saying to somebody, hey, I got a 50% reduction in my grocery bill. What was the original price? It was $100. So the guy's thinking, oh, my bill reduced, the guy's bill reduced by $50. No. Then you say, no, the bill actually only reduced by $1. How so? Because if you're reporting relative risk reduction, you're saying, hey, actually, I got a $1 reduction on a $2 item. And now...
No, that's exactly what they do. The statins, they said, okay, if I don't give you a statin, what are the chances that in the next 5 years you're going to have a heart attack? Well, it's like 0.5%. Okay. Then they say, okay, well, now we're going to put you on a statin. What's your risk now? Well, it's 0.25%. Okay. And they say, well, you went from 0.5% down to 0.25%. That's a 50% reduction in the number. No, it's not. It's not at all.
Risk reduction. And people don't understand. And a lot of doctors don't also, I feel like, understand the reporting on this stuff. And it's like, they don't, or else they wouldn't drink the Kool-Aid, right? And they wouldn't, but I love that topic. But so that's where I get so heavy into environmental toxins. So environmental toxins, I think, are just like, big drug fluorosis. And then we do Clearlies on patients here too. A lot of Clearly, we're big fan of Clearly, the AI plaque test. So we do it on the younger guys. And it's like, oh, wow, you do have some. Oh, I just remember that big name person come in too. Calcium score of 0. It's part of our screening. Go do it Clearly. I want to go do the darn Clearly. Comes back with 30% blockage of his widowmaker. Young guy. So like,
that's the most unstable type of plaque. The calcified plaque is actually, if you have a high calcium score, it's not great, obviously, but what it's showing you is that your body is actually calcifying that plaque, stabilizing it, reducing the risk of a thrombotic event. But if you've got soft plaque, that's the stuff that you can end up with a rupture and you got a problem and stroke or a heart attack. So if you got 30% blockage and a 0 calcium score, that's
50% of heart attacks occur with less than 50% blockage. And that's what people don't because of that soft, inflamed, the soft, because you have the calcified, the soft, and then the soft inflamed. That soft inflamed plaque flies off.
JP and I did a podcast episode called The Heart Attack Lie, or The Truth About Heart Attacks, excuse me. We did one on cholesterol lie and another one on the truth about heart attacks. And the guest, it was Dr. Steven, I forget his last name. Hussey, that's right.
Hussey.
He was talking about how the autonomic nervous system and stress is actually the likely driver of the heart attack to occur in the first place. So I'd love to kind of get your take on this. I know, JP, you're going to be able to plug in as well, but I'd love to get your take on what is the effect of stress as well. And not just the stress that we talk about daily as kind of like daily emotional or psychological stress, but you're talking about environmental toxins. That's a biochemical stressor, micronutrient deficiencies, biochemical stressor. What about physical stress? Are people pushing themselves too hard or not enough? Right? What's happening with the stress inputs and the effect that that's having on health, cardiovascular or otherwise? I'd love to get your take.
Yeah. So look, I think that fight or flight, the sympathetic versus the parasympathetic, is huge. I have to admit, I was always very much in love with the sympathetic system. Go, 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 go. I'm a very much go, go, high energy. But then again, always being grounded to the principles I was raised by, right? Spirituality, prayer, just, and till this day, I keep that. I don't keep it in an orthodox way, et cetera. I'm just like, it's, I don't get into that conversation with people. Like what that day is, Friday sundown, Saturday sundown, I told them I try to spend time with family. Like if you guys call me, if you guys want to come over for food, it's spend time with the people God gave me to enjoy this life, enjoy my son, play with my son, and maybe not get, and actually I don't want to get into it because I know if I go in my inbox, that stressor thing starts to come in. Certain, vendors or so forth speaking to me. I'm like, I won't answer today. Like I shut off, not completely like I would drive a car and do all that stuff, but I do respect weekly since since I started my career, I respect weekly one day of like 24 hours where I just tone it down. I just tone it down. And my wife tells me all the time, she's like, I don't think if it wasn't for the Sabbath, I'd do it then because it's just,
So
I'm always,
yeah, and I think that's really, really helpful for people to understand that a lot of things that have been incorporated into religious beliefs are actually health
yeah,
related. Things about diet, fasting, things about family, things about the rules of social engagement that we get, the 10 Commandments. I mean, yeah, the first half of them are about honoring God, and the other half are basically rules of social engagement. How are we supposed to interact with one another? And they have a health
yes.
benefit. It's about health. So I completely agree that taking one day a week off is probably extremely helpful. But I also know that the autonomic nervous system needs a reset much more frequently than that. It's not just 24 hours out of 168. It needs to be like every 90 minutes or so, you need to ground yourself. And that's why I think a lot of take the kids to the park, call your wife and make plans, see a friend and talk for a minute about their life, not yours. That sort of grounding happening frequently during the day allows you to then go hard, for 90 minutes or 75 minutes or whatever you need to do to grind through the project you're on. But you need that grounding. You need that 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes just to take a deep breath.
Yeah. So that goes back to some of these high performers that I know. And trust me, I know a lot of them, all the way from the music industry, the biggest name in the music industry. I don't do too much movies. I guess I would have to be more in Hollywood. I don't do too much movie industry, but different sports, Olympics, all that, soccer in Europe. These guys don't shut off. It's just like, and this is something even like high level business guys, their level of temperance, it's bad. It's like it's just go, 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 go. And then, and we're raised with this psyop of like, go sleep, go, et cetera. And it's like, no, you're not going to be productive for 14 hours in a row. Stop fooling yourself. You're not. That's when you find yourself, I don't know, scrolling on social media or whatever. Your body, lots of times you're scrolling. You're laying in your bed at the end of the day exhausted because you didn't do that. You didn't have those intervals, right? Where you're productive until the end of the day because you had these intervals and then you spend 2 hours. And I know listeners know what I'm talking about. You have your 1 hour to 2 hours of just mush at the end of the day because you just like, yes, I 100% talk about that all the time where you need your breaks,
So let me ask you a question. I was going to ask this before, but this is a really good time to ask it now. You've got people who, as you said, in the no fun league, they're, not for long league, they're there for 3 years and they're go, 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 go. But you do have these special people who are like, LeBron in the NBA, and whether you're a LeBron fan of his game or not, you have to respect the fact that his longevity is
Brady
remarkable. And you have people in like a Tom Brady or, somebody who's, they just had Phillip Rivers come back and play in a game. I mean, these guys who have really, really long careers, even ones who've had serious injuries and still have really long careers. Is there a common theme that you see for people, not just to be great for a year or two, but to be able to sustain that level of performance, that greatness, that when you look at them, you can't say, well, that guy's just a physical, specimen of, you look at Tom Brady and he was never the guy that you'd look at and go, yeah, he's obviously going to be an incredible football player, but there was something else about him that made him the GOAT. What is it that you see when you deal with these people who have long careers? What are they doing differently? What are they doing better than the people who burn out?
So there's one guy, I can mention his name because we're very friendly and we do stuff together. And he's tagged us, etc. So I'll mention his name. Great, great guy. He, to me, out of the Ronaldos, LeBron James, his sport is tough. So this is the guy I'm going to mention is the guy with the longest career in the UFC. He got in the UFC at 2001, got out at 2025. It's a long time.
24 years in that sport is unbelievable.
It's brutal. He's 3 times heavyweight champion and took a couple of fights after the UFC, and he's now, I think, 46. And not even last month, 3 weeks ago, he became the bare knuckle champion. His name's Andrade. So 20-something years, getting punched. I mean, that's really tough. And another thing, 3 times cancer survivor. He spoke about it now in his, so that guy's made out of a different fiber. That guy is he's an amazing human, a very dear friend. And I have a lot of love for him. People like them, and I'm so honored to get to speak to people. He's not the only one. I just mentioned him because he tagged us to shout us out, and I can think private, very, very private. But people like these guys, first of all, they do have some crazy way of thinking. They lost their mind. They're obsessed. They are completely not there in a good way. But 2, I can't tell. They are intelligent and they find the path. And when these guys find the path of whatever it may be, to train better, to health, they stick to that path. When these guys understand okay, this is the right way to take care of my health. They understand the biological principles and so forth, not the wrong way, do stuff especially I used to say dirty performance enhancement, that's old. You don't need to do that. It's old. It's stupid. It's that's the best. I'm sorry. I don't know a better adjective. It's stupid. Shouldn't do that. But the right way to clean your body, get your body, tip-top performance. That's where I say performance and longevity go hand in hand. And to really the cherry on top of biohacks is epigenetics. I'm obsessed with epigenetics because environmental things, but at the end of the day, one of my best friends is Ryan Smith, the owner of True Diagnostic.
Yeah. Love him. Great guy.
Yeah. One of my, he introduces. Yeah,
he's the guy who introduced us all. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
So epigenetics, these guys, when you start looking at their epigenome and how they're aging, and once you explain to them, it's look, your longevity and your performance go hand in hand. They really grasp. I don't know some of the other ones you mentioned. I might know some of the others you mentioned, and the Ronaldos, which is he's about to play the World Cup at 41, which is wild. These guys, they have their routines and they stick to it.
I think that's key.
So that's
here, yeah.
I'm gonna say it. I know that it's come up a couple of times on our podcast in the past. Sort of bit my tongue, but I know that this is Dr. Habib has a different perspective on this one. But cheat days, people like Rock always talks about his cheat days. He's out there. He's for 6 days I'm doing this, that, and that, and then I have a cheat day, and he shows this.
The stack of pancakes,
stack of
sushi,
huge pancakes, or French toast he's eating, and he's pumpkin French. And I'm thinking to myself, and he talks about cheat days. I don't have a cheat day. I don't cheat. I believe in what I'm doing. I believe that it's delivering the results I want. I don't cheat. I'm obsessed that way. And my wife will tell you, my kids will tell you, I have an obsessive personality. I get into something and then I want to know everything there is to know about it. And then I want to implement it. And when I implement it, there is no such thing as a cheat day, because a cheat day is basically saying, I'm kind of into it, but I'm kind of not. It's not me. I'm all in.
It sounds like it's built on this idea of compound interest, right? As long as you stick to it, you're stuck within these boundaries and you're set, and these are non-negotiable boundaries. You're not going to waver from this boundary that you set. You are going to gain at a rate greater than anybody who's falling off these boundaries. So it sounds very much like
Kobe Bryant used to say he makes a contract with himself and he doesn't break his contract. That's just sort of what you just make a contract with yourself and say, this is what I do. This is me. And I'm not going to break my contract. I've made a deal with myself. So it sounds to me like what you're saying is that the common theme among your highest performing, longest performing, successful athletes and performers in general are people who have figured it out right and then have the obsession to never deviate from that. Because the moment they deviate from it, you have the chance of falling off the wagon and you end up, it's like being an alcoholic, you know? You just got to stop drinking. And the moment you stop drinking and you stay not drinking, then you're not an alcoholic anymore from the standpoint of functionally. But the moment you fall off the wagon, it could be months before you get yourself back. So don't do it. Don't fall off the wagon.
Absolutely, yeah. So the cheat day, right, or the cheat philosophy. So I'm pretty obsessive myself, very very obsessive. So there's people that like I will have these conversations all the time where unfortunately it's like they want to cheat sometimes, not only with foods but especially in other industries, they want to cheat with certain chemicals. And I'm like, that cheat day is not allowed. It's like because you if you miss an event in your discipline schedule, okay, you broke your habit. But if you miss it twice, it's the start of a new habit. So if you miss a workout, okay, you missed the workout. You miss it twice, it's the start of a new habit. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, I always say this because it's like, you're starting a new habit, and no, we're good. I don't know. It's like, so I'm very scared of that too. I'm very scared of who I'll be. Every day before work, I spar. I either do jujitsu or I do kickboxing plus a workout, etc. So it's a crazy habit that I have, but I like to log in at the end of the week, 4 to 6 hours of pure fight, just hardcore. I'm the most peaceful guy in the world, but that's a habit I have, and it keeps me very centered, etc. Maybe a little too much for my sympathetic system.
No, it's good. It's good. You want to drive that sympathetic system hard, but then come back to the parasympathetic. You want that. You want to stress and then the relaxation. If you stay stressed, that's when you start. I always say, going out and run 3 miles, it's good for you. Run 30 miles, kind of bad for you. Run 300 miles, you're dead.
Love it.
It's pretty simple.
Yeah,
I love
absolutely.
You can run 300 miles, just do it in 3-mile increments or 10-mile increments if you want.
I love this. Marcos, go for it.
Okay. So on the cheating side, I always say like, hey man, if you're cheating is like, hey, you need to eat a good quality gourmet burger today. But if you need to go get plastered and my whole thing, I draw the line with chemicals, processed foods. I'm like, if the only cheating allowed in here is like, man, you need to eat like I say, a gourmet burger. Don't go eat some processed garbage. You need to eat a nice homemade high quality pizza or whatever, or you got your spot. Like I have this, my son's only I don't have to allow him. He's only 3 and he asks me if things have toxins, which is crazy. He understands.
So good.
No, and I always tell him this is the whatever, you can eat it if you want. And he's like, is this going to make me strong or weak? I'm like, weak. And he's like, okay, well. So, but the whole point is,
that's great.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just developing a relationship where he has understands, what he's doing. But there's only 2 places that we allow him to have one Greek ice cream or Greek yogurt, but it's like flowing, it's super clean. And then the other one, my buddies own the restaurant where they do the gelato. And then that, so he knows, he's like, he only wants to eat there, So yeah, even him, I'm raising him that way. And it's like, and it's once a week. He asked for it twice a week. I said, you could have it twice a week, but you know what's going to happen? I'm like, even though it's cool, it's sugar, too much sugar and so forth. You want to have it twice a week? And then he's like, no. He's like, let's save it for next week. So even the little bit, I inculcate that. And then no extreme cheating, none of that, And then just The Rock, The Rock can do those massive cheat. I've seen those posts. I don't, no offense, I don't know The Rock, but I don't think his body's too natural the right way. So obviously he metabolizes stuff a lot stronger than, us mortals. So
yeah.
He's on a different level for sure. And on the cheating point, I'm not for it, but I do. Interestingly, I think just the word itself is a unique one. And just to point to this idea that when you cheat, who are you cheating? Really, you're cheating yourself, right? You're not cheating anybody else. You're not cheating the world. You're cheating yourself. And so I think that's a big thing there. And if you doing it one time is okay, but I very much, Marcos, appreciate this idea of doing it a second time is the creation of a new habit. And do you want to create that new negative habit or not? And that is big. For me, at least, that's a big one. I want to be respectful of your time, but go for it. Yeah.
Let me add this one. I think the beginning and ending of being a man which we need more nowadays. The ultimate point of being a man is self-control. And if you don't have self-control as a high performer, you are going to lose your kingdom. And if you're on your way to be the best at your field, you're not going to get there without self-control, which will manifest by routine and discipline, and ultimately will exude when you walk into a room, when you open your mouth, when people see the fruits of your labor. Self-control is at the core, I think, of being an outstanding individual and man. So the cheating, double-edged sword, you got to be really careful.
Absolutely. It absolutely is.
100%.
I want to be respectful of your time. Thank you so much for joining us today. If anybody is interested in working with you, they should probably go and check out Biohax in Miami. Check out your Instagram, check out anything else. Is there anywhere else people should get in touch with you or look for Biohax?
Yeah, social media. We're a 50-state licensed telehealth. So I don't know 95% of our patients ever walked in our clinic. So, and check us out at biohax.com, biohaxmedical.com, biohaxdental.com. And then our socials, if you type up Biohax, you'll see different companies in our ecosystem.
Amazing. And just for those on the spelling, it's Biohax, Biohax.
Correct.
All right. Make sure that you do that. It's not CKS at the end there. Marcos, this was amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today, for sharing your brilliant wisdom, your experiences. I think this has been really awesome. And we definitely want to have you back. We'll chat more about optimizing high performance, longevity, and the patterns and the habits that we can use to create upgraded health. Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, guys. Thanks. God bless.
All right. You got to this point. Share this episode with one person who you think could use this information. And otherwise, we'll catch you on the next one.